Table Direct Show, and once again we are live here at Ozarks Homestead Expo 2024. We are back on set here at our mobile set under the barn, and as you may be able to hear in my background, we've got some presenters going on, but most importantly right here on the set with us is Kevin and Sarah from Living Traditions Homestead. Many of you may know them on their very popular YouTube channel, and they're out and about, and they were been speaking here this weekend and being a part of this, and welcome to the Farm to Table Direct Show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll just kind of jump right in. Y'all can give us kind of a little bit of your story. I know what y'all were talking about was leaving the corporate world and going into homesteading, and kind of what that was like for y'all in that decision process.
Sure. So we started homesteading really back in about 2008, 2009 in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Took us about 7 years of homesteading in that area before we made the jump to move to Missouri and leave corporate America and go full on in on farming and homesteading. And we've been here in the Ozarks now for about 8.5 years, and we've built a pretty productive farm.
Well, I'll ask, what do you think about trees?
What do we think about trees?
Well,
When we first moved here, honestly, the number one thing our kids raised in the desert, they were like, it looked painting. Like they had never seen so many versions of green in their lives. They were just like blown away by how green everything was.
Right, absolutely. And it's wet.
Right.
Yeah, the nice thing is here is that there's this thing that comes from the sky called rain,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And we just didn't have much rain in Arizona. It was wonderful.
Right. Well, that is a big transition. I spent a little bit of my time bouncing around, and I've been in the desert quite a bit, in the Mojave and stuff out there. And yeah, rain's a precious commodity when it comes there. And we over here, we complain about not having rain, and y'all are probably like, what do you mean you ain't got rain?
Right.
So y'all, how big of a decision was that to leave all of that and that corporate and just leave the system, if you will, kind of that grind of a job, the grind of the corporate world, to just really commit to this?
It took a lot of planning. Again, it took 7 years from the time we started till the time we actually pulled the plug and left. But I feel like once we made the decision, like once we knew it was clear, it was a pretty easy decision. Now we didn't know how things would go after we did it, but we knew it was what we were being called to do.
Absolutely. So y'all got out there, you got into that. Were you by yourself? I mean, did you feel like you were by yourself early on like that, or?
It was actually a little bit on the lonely side moving out here. We don't have any family here. We didn't know anybody. And I think we had this thought that if we moved to rural Missouri, like everybody would be doing exactly what we wanted to do out here. And actually, when we moved out here, there was nobody even they didn't know even the term homesteading. And people would look at us strangely, like, what are you talking about? And so we would describe, what we were going to be doing. And they just kind of looked at us sideways. There's not, in our area of Missouri, there's not a whole lot of agriculture other than beef cattle, raising. So they just looked at us strangely. But now that
we were so energetic, right? We were so like, this is what we're here to do. And they're like, really?
Yeah. How's that going to work out for you?
But over the last 8 years, it's become more and more popular really everywhere within the country. And this has become kind of a hot spot for people to move to. And so we've really welcomed that, because there are a lot more like-minded people now that are around here.
Well, that's good.
Absolutely. So we're finally settling into kind of our sense of community in this area.
Well, and that is a big point. Of course, I live in Western Arkansas down by Fort Smith. I don't know if y'all know it's that or not, and he lives on the Oklahoma side. And of course, we do so much in Oklahoma, because and I always joke, it's like, man, are we like the homestead capital of the world? And I've realized it's this region.
It is.
It's this whole region of Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, a little bit of the others, but really these three states that just so much of it. And you talk about that term. I was that person that looked at people with the look like, huh? Because I met a guy in like 2010. I said, what do you do? He said, I homestead. I'm like, you do what?
Right.
Yeah. And he had to explain it to me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could make a living doing that. Yeah.
Right.
And so there you go. And he was just providing for his family. He wasn't even,
Yeah.
But
I do think this is a hot spot because I think in this part of the country, overall, the weather is mild, what we would consider mild. I mean, the farther south you go, obviously, the hotter it gets.
Right.
But pretty mild winters. There is water here. There's a lot of natural resources here. And so I think it makes sense for people to move to this area to live a life like this.
We interviewed a gentleman. He's in land and stuff now, but they had moved from California. Now his centuries old. They were 150-year-old family farm, 5 generations that he left in California to come to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he said it's just such a world of difference. And so, and I think more and more of that. So how did YouTube happen?
Well, YouTube, really, we started making videos so that all of our family, wherever they were, could just kind of keep up with what we were doing because they all thought we were nuts for doing this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden one day we're like, hey, like 4 people watched one of our videos that weren't our family.
Right.
And then it's like, it just like all of a sudden there were like 20 people watching,
right.
And then it just kind of snowballed. And then like why the Lord called us out here, like we have a platform now where we can teach people what he has taught us or what we've learned over the years, and to see that kind of explode to where now we're, if you look like at analytics, I mean, we're hitting people all over the world to teach how to do homesteading skills. And I don't think we've ever lived in an era before where that was possible.
Oh no, we can reach more people faster and in such a short amount of time. So you were reaching for, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say,
be much more profound than I was.
Oh no, originally we didn't know that essentially one of our spiritual gifts is teaching.
Right.
But when we had our urban homestead in the Phoenix area, we were naturally just talking to everybody who would come to our little urban farm. Because we had have like egg customers and that, and like the Girl Scouts, we'd have the Girl Scouts come through because in the middle of the city, the children don't know where food comes from.
Absolutely.
And to give them the experience to actually pick a carrot out of the ground and literally, if they really wanted to, without even washing it off, they could eat it. I mean, that was such an amazing experience. And I think that then we were learning, number one, how excited we are and can get about this lifestyle and sharing it with people, but that we actually can do a pretty good job at it. And we know what we're talking about. We can effectively communicate that, and people can learn from it. And it was a really good introduction back there to what we would ultimately get into and basically kind of share as our ministry,
Well, and I'm glad you see it that way. I mean, honestly, that's that calling or that need to share. And that's something we have found overwhelmingly as we've been around the homestead community is it's a community of faith. Christian beliefs, people want to share that, and it's an overwhelming thing across. I found that you want to share. It's not the corporate world where you're holding on to secrets because that's your protection.
Right.
So and I know others that watch you probably know this, but what did y'all do in the corporate world or in the regular job world?
So I was in sales. I worked for a long time in dental sales, which was really about as exciting as it sounds. And then I worked for a company that sold firearm simulators for military and law enforcement training.
That's fun.
That's where I ended my career there. So,
And I worked my way up in human resources and was an HR executive when I left. And it was not in the.
It's also as exciting.
It's also as fun and as exciting as you would think.
Right. Oh no,
it's a difficult job.
I've worked enough of those to know it's not. That's why everybody thinks, oh, truck driver, yeah, great. Till you do it, you don't know.
Right.
Well, that had to be, and I'm kind of back a little bit, but that had to be kind of a big income transition to really kind of go from that to how we're going to make, you're feeding yourself, but you got to pay the bills still,
Right. It was. I mean, and as a husband and father, that was a huge decision. Like, we're going to give up 2 very good incomes to move to the middle of nowhere. We joke, we say to sell pine cones on Etsy, but that was part of our plan at first. Like, we don't know what we're going to do, but if we need to sell pine cones on Etsy, We got a lot of pine cones.
There you
But we knew early on, like 7 years prior to moving, we
Right.
knew, and that's when we started planning. And we knew that in order to get to the place where we could more comfortably live with less,
Right.
we had to eliminate our debt.
Right.
And we made a commitment to pay down as much debt as we possibly could. We followed Dave Ramsey. And, by the time we moved, and because we sold and made, a nice profit on our home,
Right.
we were able to buy cash. And that put us in a position to remain debt-free. How can we live on less? Well, to need less.
Right.
And you need less, then that's better,
And I think that's a common problem that we have in our country. I mean, overall, it's people going, and I know I talk about it, but even myself, you make more, you spend more, and that's,
Right.
I have fallen into that as well.
The
And
only
it's like,
people who are good at not doing that are politicians. They never spend more.
yeah,
than
it's a funny thing where it just never, it's like when you're spending other people's money, it's so
I
easy.
wish I'd get to spend other people's money.
It is so easy to do that. And it's, but you say it, but it is so very true. And, and I, even when we were talking with Joel Southman earlier about that whole thing about that frugal, figuring out how far down you can get that budget so that it makes it that much easier to go do this.
Right.
And I think that's an important factor that people need to consider when they're considering homesteading is, most of us have to work and do the going.
Right.
So, but that's, y'all have obviously been here, and what y'all, I mean, how many years have y'all been coming to this one?
We've come from since the very first year.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
1 year.
We missed 1 year, I think, the year of COVID.
well,
We
yeah, I
missed.
don't think she had it that year,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, so we've been here every year then, and it's amazing. Like the first year, I mean, it was tiny. It
Right,
wasn't here at this location,
right.
and it was really small. And gosh, every year it's just exploding, which is great.
So now this is this one, and like I said, this is our first year, and we had heard about it, and several people was like, you gotta go to this one, you gotta go to this one, and so we were like, okay, we're going to this one. And when Cheryl reached out to us and said, hey, can you come up? Awesome, yeah, great. We were already going to reach out to you anyway. So do y'all go? How many others do y'all go to besides this?
Honestly, this is the only one we attend.
Really?
Our farm, so we have a pretty big operation, and it's just the two of us.
Right.
We live about an hour and 20 minutes from here, so we can drive here for the day, attend, and go back home. But other than that, we really don't travel. Our commitment is at our farm, and we.
Well, fortunately, through the power of YouTube, everybody gets to know you.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
it was amazing. People were answering the question. And hands were going up, and
How
that
much
your life is.
People know a lot about us, and
Right. We get the fun privilege for us is while I will share, like experience, or I'll share what my thought. We get to do a show where it's about us. It's about the person
Right.
sitting in the chair.
Right.
So every once in a while we'll share something from our, what
Right.
we're doing or whatever. I put a video up with my grandson driving the tractor the first time, and But for the most part, it's about others. And so we get to actually learn so much just doing this right here. And for us, that's rewarding. And these places are rewarding. So y'all been doing this a while. You're in the YouTube world. You come here every year. You've seen the explosion of the last few years. Where do you feel this is? Is this a fad, or do you feel like something that's just going to continue to grow?
I think for whom it's not bad. I think when COVID hit out, it was a fad for a lot of people. If you watched our YouTube number around the COVID time when everybody was locked in their houses and they were afraid about the food shortages,
Right.
of course, during those times, the numbers exploded. Like people were freaked out. Things have kind of calmed back down right now, which we can argue whether or not they should have, but it seems like right now people are a little more comfortable, and so they're letting their guard down a little bit, and so there's less people in it right now, I think. But I think there's a core group of people that for this is not a fad, and I think it's a movement that is going to gain more of those people all the time.
when we started all of this, we had a gut feeling that there was a reason we needed to be doing this.
Right.
We moved out here, started our YouTube channel, and we felt like we had a gut feeling. I really feel it was the Holy Spirit telling us that we needed to put information out there for people to learn when something big was coming. And I really feel that was COVID.
Right.
But I think that a lot of us still have a gut feeling that this isn't over and there's something else coming.
That wasn't the big one.
And so I think those of us who are in tune enough of what's going on in the world and in tune enough with our faith in God and Holy Spirit that we need to continue working. And there are more people feeling it. I think they're scared about what might be coming, but I think I agree to a degree with Kevin that it does seem like some people might be getting a little comfortable. There's food on the shelves. It might be more expensive, but there's food on the shelves every day, and so I think they might be a little bit less scared. I hope that we can continue inspiring and motivating people to do more and more on their own and less dependent on the grocery store or whatever, so that this continues to grow. But this, conferences like this are amazing because somebody with some interest can come and get exposed to so much in just a small amount of time. Not only instruction, but with all the vendors, you can see all the products, you can see everything that's out there. And I think it's a really valuable learning opportunity for people in this area. But there are people that are flying in from and driving in from all parts of the country, Michigan, Texas, New York, all over the place. It's amazing.
And it's, we've seen that, of course. I mean, the other that we have been involved with is Okie Expo down in Oklahoma. And, our first year that we went was they had moved it to June and it was hot, but they still had, over 3,000, and then this year they had, I think, around 3,500. I mean, it's averaging right in that consistency, here, 4,000 plus. I mean, and in talking to the speakers and the presenters and the homesteaders who travel, who go to these, they say it's popping up everywhere. I mean, it's just this huge amount of numbers. Like you said in the beginning, years ago, a few hundred, and so I think there is that thirst for knowledge. And there's always going to be the fad. There's always going to be the wake up, if you will. 9/11 was the same way. There was that period of time, and then and certainly I know for us, I was when COVID really kind of. And I know we're gonna get dinged for saying the C word. I don't care. Anyway, when the pandemic happened, I was down in Texas with some family doing some stuff, and my wife calls and says, "Hey, if you can find toilet paper, get it." And I'm like, "What? Toilet paper? What?"
Right.
I've still got a case of toilet paper that I keep.
Right.
Just because, who knew?
Right.
And so it is, and I think a lot of people are staying with what they've learned, because they've seen what happened. They got that gut feel, and if they're of faith, they understand the Lord working through there to let them know. But I think also some of us are just kind of like, I can't afford to go to the grocery store the way I used to go to the grocery store. So this is worth staying at just for that, if for no other reason, so I think that's kind of that'll be the sustainment. But you're right. I think there's more coming. I don't think it's quote over. It's just the different who and what.
Right.
But so I think that'll continue. But when I look out here and I see this field of vendors behind us over here, and I see the numbers of bodies that are coming in out of here today, it's definitely something that has grown tremendously. Because like I said a few years ago, you said homesteading to me, I gave that look. So what's the future for Living Traditions look like that you know about? I mean, I know it's the future, but I mean,
Well, we're moving into kind of a new phase right now. Our last child just left for college, so we're empty nesters. And so, there's a lot going on. We continue to expand the farm, but we're also trying to learn more about what, we're trying to figure the future out, I guess.
Right.
We're continuing to put out videos because we don't feel like it's over.
Right.
We feel like we're being told that there's a lot more for people to learn, and until the Lord tells us otherwise, that's what we'll be doing.
Okay, well, great. I mean, the last one's leaving home. Any of them planning on heading back into the same kind of lifestyle, or are they?
We've got one who's in college to be an elementary school teacher, and one that wants to be a nurse.
Well,
And,
both good needs. Yeah.
right. So they both want to help people. I do think they both have the skills to come back to this lifestyle if they want to.
Right.
But they need to go out and
Find it for themselves.
find out for themselves.
Right. Well, that's absolutely great. When we hear stories and we talk to people, and especially those, some of us like where this is home for us. I mean, I left for a lot of years, but I mean, this region is home. But when we talk to people who have moved from so far, I was just talking with some people that had moved from Michigan down, and it was like, welcome to America, kind of thing, But it was like that's such a level of commitment that is so different, or that willingness to risk, and I think it's that spirit throughout this whole community that'll keep it going, and it will keep. It's what, like we said, living the solution to the roots of our country, And so we appreciate.
This was the American dream.
This
right?
was right.
I
think we got. And I'm one of them, so I'm in there. I think we got sold a lie that, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2-car garage, blah, 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 this amount of, was the dream. That was the American dream. When in reality, the ability to live your life, worship how you see fit, be a good neighbor, be a good citizen, and otherwise raise your family and be left alone, And to me, that has become, that's it. Right there. And so I appreciate that y'all do that you're putting that out there. You're showing the lifestyle probably a little more real, it's entertainment. Well, there's an entertainment factor. I mean, there is, but it can be glamorized because you can edit and you can do things, but when there's that realness, people see it, and that's why they respond to it. Because there's some that it's just a blog, and then there's some that are learning. And there's people like us that just get to talk to y'all guys. But I think it takes it all. And, I used to ride Harley Davidsons, and they would get mad, certain guys, the lawyers and all these yuppies and all this other stuff. Hey, they're paying for all this. So,
Right.
And so I think it's that similar thing that doesn't matter where they came from. If you're all in this, we're all in this.
Right.
But, well, anyway, I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for the channel. Y'all guys are a hoot. I was laughing so hard over there watching all that go, especially the tomatoes. I mean, it's like I said, the okra. Yeah, I almost had to give up on that one, but that's okay. But you like to grow it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, see, so there you go. So somebody gets to win on this.
She grows it, I eat it.
That's a winning combination, right? But anyway, well, listen, thanks again so much for joining us. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time. Hopefully, this is another productive and fruitful year for all of us, prayerfully. And, we'll get through the next few seasons, next few weeks and months, we'll see what happens.
Right? Yes, enough said.
Enough said. We'll just see what happens. But hedge the bet.
Right.
Anyway, but no, thanks for coming out. It's great. We're going to look forward to seeing you. I would love to see you somewhere else, but at least at the very minimum, we'll see you here and see you online. And, keep doing what y'all guys do.
Thank you.
Giving inspiration to other people to just be willing to try.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, folks, Kevin and Sarah from Living Traditions Homestead, right here in Missouri, transplant via from Arizona. We'll welcome them out here. They've been here a while now, so I kind of think this is home.
8.5 years. Yeah.
8.5 years. Yeah, have you started saying y'all?
Y'all, yeah. Feller.
When
I don't know someone's name, hey, feller.
Yeah, okay.
Starting getting there.
Yonder,
Right.
Holler.
Right.
Well, there's a difference between a hollow and a holler, so
We have a holler.
Yeah, you got a holler. See, so you're from Missouri, so there you go. Right there, you're here. All right. Well, listen, folks, this was fun. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Go over to Living Traditions Homestead on YouTube. You have Facebook or any other?
We do Facebook, Instagram, our website. Yeah.
Okay, so the website.
YouTube is our main thing.
YouTube's the main thing. Okay, well, that's where you can find them. Go out, check them out. If you like them, if you aren't already, subscribe. Get on the sub and check them out and learn a little bit, have a little laughs, and follow this journey along its way. And we'll be seeing them again in the future. And folks, we're going to go ahead and finish this one the traditional way. What we always do at the end of every show is we will say, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local. We'll kind of space it out like that. Right. So we're going to go ahead and sign off that way. All right, everybody. Once again, this is Ryan with the Farm to Table Direct Show here at Oklahoma. I'm already talking ahead to the next one. Ozark Homesteading Expo 2024 here in Marshfield, Missouri. And we are going to sign this show off in our traditional way. As always, prepare for